Hi there, it's John from itsmorethanjustgaming.com. Welcome. In this video I'm going to be taking a quick peek inside the box of Rising Sun, a recent Kickstarter delivery I had. Actually I've had this for a couple of weeks now, but I've just not had a chance to actually go through the box and the rulebook or anything like that, so I was quite excited to do that, and I'm quite excited to share it with you. Rising Sun is a board game produced by Cool Mini or Not and Guillotine Games, game by Eric Lang, art by Adrian Swift according to stuff on the box. Rising Sun, if you're unfamiliar, is a game set in a legendary feudal Japan where players vie for power to become the new shogun over a series of 4 seasons. During that time they will make alliances with each other, they will do politics with each other, they will stab each other in the back, they'll go to war with each other, they will pray to the gods, and they will summon monsters onto the board to fight for them. And in one case they will ride their giant turtles into battle. That's one of the factions. Their strongholds are built on the backs of giant turtles in almost like Discworld fashion, but on a much smaller scale. I backed this Kickstarter over a year ago. It arrived basically on time. It is a game for 3 to 5 players, and it plays, according to this, within 90 minutes to 2 hours. Given that there are basically 3 turns and a sort of like a much reduced 4th turn, I can see that being more or less true, to be honest. So let's have a look inside the box. One of the great things about things produced by Cool Mini or Not is that they know how to pack their boxes. They know that in their miniatures games you actually need to pack your miniatures properly and take that into consideration with your box size. As always, or as ever with a video like this, there will be a link in the description to an accompanying blog post which has photographs that accompany this article so that you can get a little bit more of a close look at the static images. These are, having read the rules, these are sort of like faction tokens that you use for tracking victory points and honour. We have a deck of cards. I will go through that in a little bit more detail later. I'll open that up and we can have a peek inside. And let's have a look at the first miniatures. This looks like one of the factions, although I'm not sure which one, but it has Daimyo, the sort of like the faction leader, the hero. It has 3 Shinto, which are your sort of like your spiritual warriors that can pray at shrines, and it's Bushi warriors, I think they are. There's 2 different sculpts for each faction, but they are effectively the same. They all have a force level of 1 in the game, and when you're doing fights it's the largest force wins, basically. There's no randomness to it, although there are strategies that you can employ during the game. Let's have a look in this box. Oh, this is quite a big one actually. Not especially heavy, I have to say, and you'll see that there's actually a board. The board is actually underneath this. Oh, this is quite nice. Okay, sorry for knocking that there. Okay, we have monsters. Let's actually have a look at them individually, shall we? Because I don't think a pass by the camera for all of them is going to do it justice. Look at that. That's very pretty. Can't tell you what these ones are called. There are cards, and the blog article, I will hunt out their names and I'll put the names in that and attach them to their images. That's quite cool. Looks like a warrior of some kind with talons for feet. This is more like a cross between a guard dog and a bull. And it's got a mane of skulls, but or hair. I'm not actually, that might just be hair. Although actually I like to think it's a mane of skulls. That's cool. Now this is a dragon, an oriental dragon, which are more serpentine than your European type dragons, which have got like the larger bodies and what have you. But these are more serpentine, and they've got their moustaches and beards and things, and look much more. They have much more gravitas than a European dragon, I have to say. This is probably my favourite of the monsters. It's making me think of the movie The Ring. It's like a long-robed spirit on an altar of bodies. Or is just being held up by a mound of bodies or something like that. It's not something you'd want to encounter on any kind of night, dark or otherwise. Got another sort of warrior figure here, carrying on. Actually, it looks like like you see your hunters coming in medieval stuff, carrying a brace of rabbits or something like that on their spear, and this appears to be bodies in a similar fashion with some skulls attached to its belt. Looks kind of almost orcish in some respects. Yeah, that's nice. Who else have we got? This looks more like a troll or an ogre in some respect. It's got like skulls for earrings and a necklace, quite muscular arms, again a little bit of a belly. It's got, like many dragons and ogres in these games, and it's got a belt of skulls or heads, and it looks like a mace and a ball on the end of a chain or something like that as weapons. And the last of the monsters in this set, I believe, a trident wielding something or other. Looks quite cool. Looks like long mane of hair. Is that a pig face, perhaps? And a crown of skulls. Robes. Yeah. I have to say, one of the reasons I actually backed this game was one of the monsters that isn't in this particular set. I'll be doing that in a sort of like a different video, and that was the Kickstarter Daimyo box, because one of them looked like Godzilla. These are sort of like the coloured discs for each faction that you put at the base of your monsters. There's currency here, I think that's coins, and it might also, there might be tokens in there for Ronin as well. Let's have a look in this. Is there anything else in that box? Nope. Let's look in this box. I'm suspecting this will be the other factions, because there's 5 in total. We've seen one there. Yes, it's the other factions. These ones are the ones that can fly. Not sure about these ones. And we've got Shintos and Bushis in each one. Daimyo. The black, it's suggested that you put the white markers on the bottom of your Shintos to distinguish them from your regular soldiers, and the black circle on the bottom of your Daimyo to signify that's your commander. Again, I'll have photographs of all of these in a little bit more detail. I think I actually like the miniatures for these ones the best because of their wings. Or the wings on some of the miniatures, I should say. This one doesn't quite perfectly fit, unfortunately. But yeah, these winged ones are... Sorry. So let's take one of them out, get a closer look at it. Isn't that lovely? playing in a D&D game just now, and there's a Kenku in the party. Pretty sure she'd love this as a miniature. Let's look at the card and the cards. Please accept my apologies for the shaky camera work here. I'm just going to be doing an overview of the board, which is quite large, and I was struggling to get all into shot with this camera, so I'm just going to hold the camera and sort of pan around a little bit so that you can get an idea. Bear in mind that this is the board that ships with the game. Some of the folk that actually backed the Kickstarter were able to get a battle mat, which is about 30% larger. So you can see all these regions on the board: Kyoto, Nagato, Kansai, Shikoku, Edo, Oshu. Over there we have Hokkaido. And over here we have Kyushu. Those are various regions in Japan that you're going to be fighting over or maneuvering around. You can see that there are trade routes on the board that connect some locations. You can see that in each location there is... actually, yeah, you can see that there. This symbol here will tell you if you harvest that location, that is the bonus you'll get, so that's 3 coins. In this one, it's 1 coin, 1 Ronin, 1 victory point. Over here we've got 3 victory points, I think that is. Some very nice monster artwork. If you harvest Edo, it's 2 victory points and 2 coins. Edo, pretty sure that's where that was part of Rogue One's plot. There is also a little empty circle. Let's have a look in on this one to mark the number of the war when you get to the war season, because wars and battles take place in a specific order. There is a war track over here, and each turn I think you randomly assign wars. It's like take the number of players and add 2, and you add wars to them, and you resolve that according to the combat phase. You have victory points starting in the bottom left hand corner, going all the way up to 50 in the top right. You have an honor track in the top left hand corner of the board. Honor is in relation to each other's clans, so no 2 clans have the same honor. You're either more honorable or less honorable. You also have the way the turn phase works is you have a tea ceremony at the start of spring to declare alliances, and then you have the political phase where starting with I think it's the person to the right of the I think you start with 1 player. It's the player with the lowest honor, I think it is, that starts. They put down a political mandate here. Everyone resolves that political mandate. Then the next player to their in the clockwise direction puts down a political mandate, and everyone then resolves that. And then the next person in the clockwise, going round the honor level, resolves a political mandate. And then when you get to this point here, that is when the kami or the gods do their thing. There are in each game there are 4 shrines, 4 temples that are randomly selected at the start, and you can send Shinto priests and some of the monsters actually to worship at these temples. And in a kami phase, that means that the person with the most Shinto priests / monsters, the strongest force in the area, gets the bonus of the gods. So for instance, that might be the god of war might send you a couple of extra Ronin units. I think the god of the sun, Amaterasu, gives you victory points. The god of storms might let you do movement, stuff like that. You get bonuses for winning the kami in any particular... excuse me, I beg your pardon, in any particular kami phase if you win the control of any particular shrine. Then you go back to politics. The next person puts down a mandate, and then the next person, you have another kami phase. Then the next person puts down a political mandate. Then the next person, there is a final kami phase, and at the end of the season, you have war. and that's when wars are resolved according to the order that they appear on the war track. And like I said, you take the number of players, add 2, and you take war tokens, which I will talk about just shortly, and you randomly assign them positions on the war track, and they correspond to locations on the board. The game goes over 4 seasons: spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Although not much actually happens in the winter season, peace falls because you don't tend to do much in the way of politicking and war during winter. Certainly not in feudal periods, because it's difficult and dangerous to travel. All the action tends to take place spring, summer, and autumn. I should also say that some of the political mandates allow you to draw season cards, and they give you different bonuses depending on what the season cards do. Again, I'll go through them in a little bit of detail in a future clip. It is a very nice looking board, very pretty. I really like this little fellow down here. So let's go through some of the other cards that are not the board. This is one of the clan boards for one of the factions that you control, the Koi clan, and they have the special ability Eddies in the Storm. They may use money tokens as Ronin tokens at the start of the war phase. They convert all of their Ronin into money. And on the back of the card, they have some reminders. So their starting honor rank is 1. They start in the province of Edo. It reminds you again of their special ability, and it then gives you ideas of what each of their things can do. Bushi has no special ability. Daimyo immune to betrayal, hostage, and other effects. And the Shinto can worship at the shrines. At the start of each season, they start with 5 coins, and end of game bonus, a number of different war province tokens that they get. If they have 3 to 4, they get 10 victory points. If they have 5 to 6, they get 20, and 7 to 8, they get 30. So that's what the Koi clan look like. Then we have the Dragonfly Clan, whose special ability is Gossamer Wings. See, there's the flying Shinto from earlier. Gossamer Wings may move their figures anywhere on the map and may summon them in any province. Normally when you recruit soldiers, they need to be recruited to a stronghold, but the Dragonfly can basically deploy anywhere. If you're a war gamer, fan of Warhammer 40,000, the equivalent of Deep Strike. And on the back, their starting honor is 5. Their starting province is Hokkaido. It's got a reminder of their ability, what their things can do, and also their seasonal income is 6. We have the Lotus Clan. They dictate the flow. When they choose a political mandate, place it face down. It can be any mandate they wish. So they can... When you choose political mandates, basically you go around the table to put them on the politics track before the Kami phases and the war phases. You take the top 4 tokens and choose one and put the other 3 back without shuffling. They have starting honor of 3, and they are in the province Nagato to begin with, and they get 7 coins per turn. We have the Banzai Clan. They have the Sacred Bounty ability. Everything they buy with coins costs no more than 1 coin before any discount. So they're very good at buying stuff or buying bonuses, but that probably means they're not as strong to begin with. They start in Kyushu. They have the starting honor rank of 7, which I think might be the lowest. Their seasonal income is 4. You get more income by harvesting and things like that. The final clan, and actually these are my favourite clan I have to say, are the Turtle Clan. And they have the special ability Shell of the Eternal. Their strongholds count as one force and can move as if they were figures. That's because their strongholds are built in the back of giant turtles. That's in the core game that shipped from Kickstarter. You get those as tokens, I think. Because I actually backed to a certain level, I do actually have little plastic miniatures, and along with the monster that looks like Godzilla in the additional extra pledge, that was a big reason for me backing the game. They start in Kyoto and have starting on a rank of 4. There are a number of boards with tokens and things on them, so let's see if we can get them. So we have some political mandate cards here. There are 5 political mandates in total. Let's zoom in a little bit. Nope, that's zooming out. Marshalling is moving your forces around. Recruiting is recruiting forces to the board and putting them near strongholds, unless of course you have dragonflies. Harvesting is getting raw materials from each province that you control. Train is when you buy season cards. I'll come to season cards just shortly. And then there's the Betray, which allows you to break alliances, but also it allows you to take 2 miniatures from 2 separate opponents and basically swap them with an equivalent from your reserve. We also have war advantages. Let's see if I can zoom out a little bit to get these. When you go to a war and you have to fight it, what you do is you take one of these war advantages boards and put it behind your clan screen, because the clan screens stand up and will hide. So if you've ever played something like Roll for the Galaxy, where you roll your dice secretly, when you are about to go to war, you can use your coins to bid on a war advantage. And everyone bids in secret for their war advantage and then reveals simultaneously, and the person who has bid the most coins retains that war advantage. You might think that victory in war is actually the best way to win the game. Sometimes that's not true. I discovered whilst reading the rules earlier. Seppuku, you may kill all your figures and gain victory points and honor for each. Okay? So if you think you're going to lose, maybe you're going to do that. So you might bid lots of coins on that. You can bid to take hostages. You may take 1 hostage and steal 1 victory from an opponent. So if you win that war advantage, that means you can actually reduce their force size, steal victory points from them, and actually you'll get extra money next turn when you release the hostages. You can hire Ronin. If you win the higher Ronin advantage, you can put all your Ronin tokens on the board, and they add to your force strength. And then you basically compare your force strength. So each miniature that you control will generally represent 1 force, and you just add it all up. If someone's committed seppuku, they remove all of their miniatures, so their force would be 0. If someone's had a hostage taken, their force would be reduced by an appropriate amount, and so on and so on. The person with the most force wins. You then actually resolve whoever won Imperial Poets. Whoever won that gains victory points for every figure killed. So the person who committed seppuku would be feeling the Imperial Poets. The people who lost in combat would also lose figures, and so the Imperial Poets would sing songs of glory, and you get victory points for that. Also on this board, we have the war tokens to represent the various provinces. It's got number 1 on them, and if we reverse this board, you'll also see that they represent... Oh, hang on. Let's zoom out a bit. These are the other war tokens here. This represents the different locations. I believe the 1 represents the season it's used in, so the first season, the second season, and so on. Although there are only 6 of these, and I think there were 7 spots on the board. The second board that we've got here, it's fine, I've found them. we've got the 7 gods that can have shrines in this game. So we've got Susanoo, and I apologise to anyone who actually knows how to pronounce these, and I'm making a pig's ear of it. Sukuyami, I should say. Hachiman, Raijin, Ryujin, Fujin, and Amaterasu. I only know Amaterasu as the goddess of the sun because of Stargate SG-1 and other reasons. You've got the 6 second season war tokens, and you've got the numbers that you put on the board to represent which turn that war happens in, because the order makes a difference. Because actually, if you've fought in one war, you might have fewer coins and Ronin to actually spend on a later war, so that the order makes a difference. I should actually say, because I didn't say this earlier, on the back of the war card, there is a description of all of the abilities of the political mandates. And each political mandate, recruit, marshal, train, harvest, and betray, has the basic ability which I covered earlier, but they also have a special ability that only the person who played them and their ally gets, which is pretty awesome. Makes alliances powerful. We have some Ronin tokens. We have stronghold tokens for the different factions. We have the extra war tokens here that are needed. We've got some more stronghold tokens, and here are the tortoise stronghold tokens. I mean, they're nice already, but actually, I'll be doing another video for the Daimyo box, which has the Godzilla monster and actual stronghold miniatures. And these little things down here at the bottom represent the different factions, and when you make an alliance with someone, you push your token right up next to theirs to show that you're allies. And you'll notice there's only 5 of them, because this is up to 5-player game, so even if it's a very diplomatic game, someone's going to be left out. But on the other hand, maybe they're the smart one, because it's not a co-op game. There is a small deck of cards in this game, and this deck is the season cards. There's a spring deck, a summer deck, and an autumn deck. You don't need a winter deck because you don't buy season cards in winter. What happens is at the start of the game, let's look at the season deck for spring. You get there is a basic spring deck, which is this one. It says spring here, it has a symbol to represent it, it's got a green back, and there's no symbol here or here. These are the basic spring cards that will appear in every game. With the base game, there are 3 other subsets. So there's the Arch subset, the Horseman subset, and the Tea Kettle subset. And you randomly choose which subset you're going to, or you choose specifically, perhaps because you've not played with them before, which subset of cards goes into each, well, you choose one and it persists throughout the game. So you might choose Arch. I think that's the recommended for new players. And I guess that Horseman and Tea Kettle are more difficult decks. When the spring the spring season starts, these are available when you do a training phase. So let's actually have a look. They're made up of different types of cards. So blue border is virtues, then you've got an enhancement, you've got war upgrades which are red, and you've got monster cards which are brown. So that's just the basic spring cards. So the cost for each of these is at the top. So the monster Komeinu costs 2 coins, and it counts as a Shinto, so that can be sent to pray for you. The Oni of Skulls costs 2, 3/4 in any province where you have the lowest honor. So actually that's a really useful persistent effect if you're a dishonorable scumbag. This is Path of the Lion Daimyo upgrade. Your Daimyo has +1 force. The Path of the Lion makes sense. The Way of the Shogun, which is a war upgrade, this costs 2, and at the start of the war phase you gain 3 money. And these things can stack. So when you do a training phase, you each get to buy one of these cards. I think the person who activates the training phase goes first, and because they activated it, they get to actually get it cheaper. Let's have a look at what the special cards are for spring. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'll go through all of the spring cards. Oh, I've missed some spring cards. Silly me. I think I've accidentally shuffled them or something like that. Oh, actually no, I haven't. I'm just being silly. Okay, so let's have a look at the Horseman set. Apologies for nothing happening on camera. I'm going through the deck. So the Horseman Spring set has the Courage virtue. Cost 3, gain 2 victory point each time you win a War Province token. So that's useful. There's 2 of those. Path of the Ninja. It's a dishonorable upgrade. After you summon, you may kill anyone bushy on the map and lose 1 honor. Nice. Way of the Righteous, a war upgrade. At the start of war phase, take 1 money from each player with lower honor than you. So you're punishing people for being dishonorable. Let's now have a look at the Archway stuff. Move that to one side. An enhancement. Path of Keenan. Costs 2. It's a bushy upgrade. After you summon, you may place an extra bushy in any of your strongholds. And there's 2 of those. The virtue is Benevolence. When you spend any coin, you may give 1 spent coin to another player. If you do, gain honor and 2 victory points. And then there's the Path of Light, which is a Shinto upgrade enhancement. At the end of a recruit mandate, you may place an extra Shinto on a shrine. So very useful if you're playing the Kami game and you're trying to get your victory points or extra armies that way. And then finally we have the Kettle upgrade, or the tea kettle. You have the Honesty virtue, which apparently costs nothing. Really? Guess it must cost nothing. While you have an ally, gain 2 victory points each time you select a non-betray mandate. Now that is nice. Path of the Warlord. It's an enhancement. After you summon, gain 1 coin. Really useful. There's 2 of those. And Path of the Patron. After you summon, gain 2 coins if you have higher honor than at least 2 players. So yeah, and those are the things that you will encounter in the spring phase. You would encounter the basic cards and one of those decks, and then when the spring phase ends, we go into the summer phase, and you build the summer deck using the basic summer cards and the corresponding suit card that you used in spring. And it's the same in autumn. Because you don't have politics phase and wars in winter, you don't need a winter deck. And that is basically Rising Sun in a nutshell. Just a quick peek inside the box and a little overview of the game mechanics. Not strictly speaking of how to play, but putting some of the ideas of the game into its context for you. I am really excited to play this. I don't think it's close to anything I actually own in terms of games. I've got quite a few games that feel very, very similar, like dungeon crawl games that are spiritual successors to Hero Quest, for the likes of Undercity and Descent, and then things springing from the likes of Descent. You've got Imperial Assault and the Doom board game, although I have to say I don't own Imperial Assault or Doom, but I've played both of them, and they're very, very similar. This does not feel like any other game I've actually played. In terms of the game mechanics, the way that battles are fought, the way that politics is done. I've seen some grumbles about it, that it's a very mismatched game because the clans are very, very different. I think that's going to be absolutely fine. You play your clan's strength. It's supposed to be asymmetric, so if your clan is good at politics, then you do the politics. You don't invest all your time in warfare. If your clan is good at moving around, seize the territory that people aren't in, things like that. I think that'll be a lot of fun. I also don't have any games that are Oriental themed, so that's quite new for me as well. And I dare say I'll spend time looking up the actual deities, the kami that are included in the game, to see who they are in Japanese religion and folklore. I think that's going to be quite fun to do. And again, I'm really looking forward to having walking strongholds on the back of turtles. I mean, not Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, certainly. But just walking stronghold turtles. Because who wouldn't want one of those? So I've been John from itsmorethanjustgaming.com. This has been my quick peek inside the box of Rising Sun by Guillotine Games and Cool Mini or Not. If you've enjoyed this video and or found it useful, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Don't forget to check the link in the description to go to the blog that accompanies this for photographs of all of the miniatures and some of the cards to give you a bit more detail. Certainly I'll be putting photographs of the different tribes and whatnot because we didn't spend over much time on them in this video. Other than that, thanks for watching, and I hope I'll see you here again soon. Bye for now.